Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this live on a very important topic. We will be talking to the author of this book, Generation XL, brought to us by Penguin India, who is here with us, Dr. Sanjay Borude, and his son, Dr. Rohul Borude. Dr. Sanjay is one of India's leading bariatric surgeons. He has been practicing for more than 30 years and is a professor emeritus in Sion Hospital and is currently the record holder for operating on an 11-month-old baby. Dr. Borude has been providing obesity services to those suffering the debilitating effects of this life-threatening disease in India. Dr. Rahul is also a bariatric surgeon and has been assisting Dr. Sanjay for the past 4 years. He specializes in childhood obesity and cosmetic bariatric, post-op mainly. Thank you so much for taking the time out today, Dr. Sanjay and Dr. Rahul, and joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We also have with us Sukirti from Sipping Thoughts Live and Siddhi from Mom Imperfecto, and I'm Upasana from Gurgaon Moms. A little bit about the book. Generation XL. In this book, Dr. Sanjay outlines a 360-degree view of the causative factors of a child's obesity and the role the child's environment plays in it. This book provides illustrative guidelines and the changes one should make in diet, lifestyle, and environment to manage childhood obesity. With real-life case studies and lots of tips and examples, this is a great read, and we recommend all of you go and take a look into it. And now to begin the discussion, over to you, Sukirti.
Dr. Sanjay and Dr. Rahul, I think your book was very scary because, as parents, we all think that, okay, we're doing all the right stuff. But I realized even as a kid, I was probably a thin child. But of course, as you get older, you do gain the weight and the bulk. So I have lots of questions. I loved your quizzes and I love the myths and facts. So I'm really going to get right into that because I think that gets the heart of my questions. So we think, and we're always confused, is it genetics or is it junk food? What is it that plays the key role in making us overweight?
It's a combination of both. It's most of the children, broadly, if you want to categorize, so under the age of 10, they are, and those who are obese, they are mostly obese because of their genetic or familial factors. And over the age of 10, they are the mix of both, like genetic as well as the lifestyle factor. So that's the broad difference between children obesity.
Okay, no, thank you for explaining that because we are confused because sometimes we just say it's my genes. But something that we think about all the time, and especially as moms, हमें लगता है कि भैया पूरी जिंदगी तो baby dieting करनी पड़ेगी. अभी तो उनके खेलने कूदने के दिन है. These are their days. That dieting also is not recommended for kids. What's your view on that?
Obesity generally in children, like when we go back in our childhood days, whatever we ate or drank at that time, we never had understood the word calories. Nobody seems to know about calories. And the children, they love all tasty food. They wouldn't like any bland diet. And most of the tasty food which is available with us could be junk. Yeah. Junk always tastes beautiful and good. So that's how we need to understand what my child's likes and the dislikes are. And it's a good on the parents' or teachers' part to inculcate those good values about what are calories, how do they go. Do they good to them or bad to them? So this is where I think about.
We're trying to make children more calorie conscious, but in a right way. We are not making them understand calories are bad for you, but there is a good calories and bad calories. Junk generally has what we say is empty calories. Like they're not, the nutrition value is very poor, as opposed to what calories you get from natural food. So the idea is that all kind of food is good, but you have to be aware and be calorie conscious at what is the nutritive value of that particular food. So diet is something is not, we will not recommend any fat diets or any of those diets to children. But to make the child calorie conscious is the ultimate goal.
No, thank you. And one thing that's interesting is because we think we are such smart parents, article, we are so well read, so that we think that we will always know if our child is overweight or obese. Is that true? Are parents good measures of saying that, yes, my child is healthy or not?
Yeah, the parent is always aware of their child's upbringing and their needs and wants and how there is a slight increase. So the parents are always conscious that, okay, my child may be overeating, maybe eating more than what he or she ate last year, which is something that is very essential. However, you have to be understanding, or you have to be wise enough that what is the volume that your child is consuming and what kind of food the child is consuming as well. So not just that he's eating more or he or she's eating more, but just eating right is the more sort of just the question of the hour. Right?
Now, this thing that we always have, doodh and milk, this is always questioned that kids need calcium. We want to give them milk in the morning, milk in the evening, and that, of course, stuffing, the food at lunchtimes. How do we know that should we be giving them milk and when a child is full?
Here, one should understand, as parents should understand, how much calories my child is spending in a day's time. We should be those calorie conscious, and accordingly you have to give supplement those calories to those particular children. Now there are certain children, what we have seen, they are more sport affiliated, so they do sports like playing outdoor sports. Some children are they play sports but while sitting. Like you take this as cards, or you take it as.
So it's basically about the child's needs and wants, right?
Yes.
If a child is more physical active, he or she partakes in more of outdoor games rather than indoor games. Or for the matter, lead a more sort of just more active. So those supplements have to be sort of just given to those individuals. But you have to understand now, the thing is that there's a lot of misnomer, there's a lot of myth about over supplementation. That's the biggest worry that we sort of fear in doctors. Specifically now post-COVID, as everyone saw that everyone were taking all the multivitamins during the first lockdown, second lockdown, and to an extent where there was sort of over supplementation that we saw. So similarly, just because your child is growing and budding and he or she is physically active, they don't require extra supplementation. If their diet is correct and if they're eating right, the extra supplementation is not required if the diet completes everything.
Milk. So is it good for kids? Should we keep giving them milk?
Milk is essential. Milk is very essential. But make sure your child is not lactose intolerant. That's all.
Now, the other question, I have two kids. One does not gain weight no matter what she eats. The other one, of course, does have the tendency. So you always feel if the kid is not gaining weight, is it okay to they can have whatever they want?
So, the child's framework, the genetic framework is very important, and they play a biggest role in the children's metabolism. Now, there's something, the genetic pattern, when we see it, there is something called as autosomal dominant. Now, in that, when we make a tree, a family tree, and there are certain good genes, certain bad genes, certain good genes are passed on to one sibling, while the other may have some skipped lesion, and then they may have some bad genetic framework. So in such a scenario, even there are two siblings and their weight pattern will also differ. And it all depends upon, like again, going to the grassroots level, like insulin. Insulin is a hormone that plays a very big role. Now, certain children are insulin sensitive, where they would eat and burn it. They would digest it completely. They will not store the calorie. There are certain individuals, the genetic pattern that they are insulin resistant. Now, these children will eat small quantity and put on weight. So insulin sensitivity and resistance plays a lot big role.
To sort of go in more in detail, there are three types of general body that we see. We see something called as endomorph, mesomorph, and ectomorph. To sort of oversimplify it, a mesomorph is an idealistic body frame where this muscle mass is more than the fat. The fat is more than the muscle mass, and ectomorph is when you sort of are very, very lean. Your muscle mass is less as well, along with your fat as well. So you have to sort of understand that where your child falls in this sort of brackets, in these brackets, and then treat or sort of just curate that child's diet accordingly. Just because your child is just skinny, and if he is to put it to bracket into a ectomorph, that individual is not allowed to eat and everything and anything just because the child is skinny of a skinny frame. That's the individual still, the child still requires all the nutrition that an endomorph or a mesomorph would also require. So there should be no diet or alteration just because your frame is, you still need the healthy food.
My last question, I know you already touched on it, but these multivitamins that have come up for kids, should we be giving them blindly a multivitamin every day?
In fact, I am from the old school of thought. I would insist on to all the natural dietary supplement, the natural food. Yes, everything, the proteins and the vitamins and the minerals, trace elements, you should try and collect it from the natural foods. And we can, when we are, sensitized for that, we can definitely find those natural ingredients. So I personally would not recommend any supplement. In fact, a lot other times the parents had approached my child plays too strenuous exercises and those outdoor sports. Of course, there, to their requirement, we have to understand, make all the investigation, and then if need be, you can give some supplement.
I think the role of supplementation only comes when you're nutritional deficit. If you're nutritional deficit and you need extra supplementation because your diet sort of does not cover that gap, that's when the role of supplementation comes. I don't think that supplementation is a staple treatment for every and any kid, because like I said, if the individual gets all of the nutrients from natural sources, which is all your regular food that is cooked at home, there's no need of it. There's no role for supplementation.
Well, thank you both for clearing up at least my major myths. I'm going to turn it over to Upasna.
Thank you. Great talk.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sukirti. So Dr. Sanjay and Dr. Rahul, this book touched a few raw nerves for me. I was always overweight and shunned for it. But later on in life, I realized that it's high time I accept the same and be positive about my body the way it is. I'm very wary of the food I eat, and the same goes for my children. And I've grappled with the body image issues since forever. So how, as moms, can we instill this all bodies are good bodies mantra in our children?
Yeah, I think the way to tackle this sort of issue now, I mean, we are facing this every day in, day out, right? Body image is a big factor. And it's sort of, that's why we, in our line of work, we say obesity is the mother of diseases. Not just it gives birth to diabetes, thyroid, PCO, but just mental health as well. It affects your mental health as well. We've all struggled with body image, and everyone is sort of addressing it now, rightfully. But what we have done and what we sort of address to is, we never address the body issue always, because our goal is to sort of make our patients and make our individuals lead a healthier lifestyle. Yes, body image is a factor and we have to address it, and we do. But our goal is to sort of make our patients feel healthier. The idea is not to make them size skinny, is to make them healthier. Along with the fat loss, we want them to build muscle. So how we sort of counsel our children and their parents is that look at a healthier lifestyle as opposed to a body image conscious lifestyle. If you lead healthy, an individual, like a child, can be 70 kilos, but he or she could be 50 kilos of muscle, which is great, as opposed to them being overweight in their age bracket. It's just the idea is to lead a healthy lifestyle. If that individual can run 5 kilometers, 3 kilometers, climb up 3 flights of stairs without a breath loss, I think that's good. So idea is to sort of make them lead a healthier lifestyle as opposed to be conscious about their body. But still, we always promote that everyone should be comfortable in their size, and just the idea is to just lead a healthy lifestyle.
Thank you, Dr. Rahul. So, doctor, in my opinion, social media has worsened this issue of a positive body image because it projects the perfect body, which is actually, airbrushed and painted and photoshopped, etc. So what's your take on this?
See, according to we all doctors, I'm not saying me myself, but all the doctors, we try to put it what is idealism and what is reality. So with this, once the parents and the society starts understanding where our child should be. So the whatever impact of social media, many a time it so happens just for the marketing gimmick, they try and promote those marketing different marketing ideas to promote the wrong foods which are available on the OTC as OTC over the counter available. So once the person and the parent starts understanding that my child needs really this and not some
I think you'll find a fine balance between idealism and realism, right? For the parent and for the child itself, right? For as a child now, since social media is filled with everyone with washboard abs, big muscles, and everything that so you have to find, like I said, a fine line, because if no one can be idealistically upright, like up to the mark. So you have to be realistic with yourself as well, that to have those, you have to lead a very strict lifestyle, which sort of just comes at a price as well. And then that gives you false sort of aspirations and sort of may lead you down a path which is not mentally right, or for the matter, realistically appropriate. So you have to understand, for an individual who should be at the age of, with him at the age of particular should be 70 kilograms. If that individual is 75, that's okay. If he's healthy, that's the ultimate goal. So a fine balance between idealism and realism that's what we sort of just addressing.
Thank you so much. On the topic of social media, there's also these aspects that says accept your body and thank your body for what it is, like as it is. So what would you say to that?
That is okay as per, because we should not have that OCD of a certain particular thing like obsession. So so long you are not suffering from that particular weight OCD or body shaming or that part, it has to, whenever we counsel a family like a obese child with the parents, so we counsel that way that there should not be body shaming. If you should be happy whatever the body that you have, but try to improve. Just don't let go. If we will never address a child with no, this is not good. Now you need to improve. We always encourage the psyche of that particular child as well as the family. Because many a times what we see, children follow the parents more or less, or their peers. So that obesogenic environment, you know what I mean? That obesity, if the parents are not worried about their own self, their own weight, then they will definitely pass on to their child. So so that obesogenic environment, that we take it away, and so the child will become more and more healthier.
They have a right approach, they have a right outlook to them. You have to accept what you are and what your limitations and what your potential is also. So our goal is to sort of make them understand the potential and what is sort of helping, stunting that limit potential as well. So naturally, you have to accept how you are, but just always try and achieve what is best for you and what is right for you.
That's wonderful, Dr. Rahul. Thank you. Doctor, there's also a fine line between body acceptance and body abuse. So how do we, again, as moms, ensure that children know that they are, whether they're abusing or accepting their bodies?
Yeah. So you have to understand your child's psyche as well, right? It is to understand what is their ultimate goal. So if a child comes to you or as a parent, you have to have a proper sit-down conversation with them and just make them understand what is a healthy lifestyle. Right. Now, healthy lifestyle, an individual can claim that, oh, I want to climb up a big hill, I want to go on a trek. But at the same time, that individual, if I can run one kilometer, I am healthy. So understand that you have to have moderation in everything. So just because you want to lead a healthy lifestyle, you don't have to cut out every food possible. Like there's a big misnomer about how carbs are not good. Carbs are essential. Carbs are very much important. But the abuse of carb is sort of just overlooked in this. So similarly, you have to understand that there is moderation in everything. Extremes of everything is not good for us. Similarly, for a child, you have to have, if you tell a child that, oh, you have to skip your desserts, it's unheard of. Child will never skip this dessert. So make the child understand that you definitely need to have your desserts, but not abuse it. So, but you need to eat your greens before you have your dessert. So there's again moderation between abuse and what is realistic as well.
Here, I would like to make a point again. Whenever a child indulges into, say, junk or high cal stuff, they have to earn them.
Yes.
Earning in such a way that they have to spend the calories before they would get into the high calories, the perks or those treats. Because children, according to our science, the children spend their out of 24 hours, about 8 hours with the parents, 8 hours with the teachers. And the rest of the 8 hours, either they sleep or they play around in the society. Right. So they are influenced with either with their parents or their teachers or their school peers. So these are the ones they should be sensitized to what are calories and how it should be controlled.
Say, earn it to burn it, or burn it to earn it. Either way, that's the mantra.
That's a good line, earn it to burn it. I like that, Dr. Rahul. Very nice line. So, Doctor, I have a small mini game based on this book. And so it's like a little rapid fire. I'll just ask you and both of you can answer. So the first one is 3 foods you can sneak vegetables into. What would you say they are?
3 foods that you can
sneak vegetables into, like disguise vegetables into.
For me, what my mom did was soups. Soup is the greatest form of vegetable that you can sneak into. Make the soup tastier, but the whole soup is nutritive value of a good vegetable. So soup is excellent. Now I would say what my mom does with my nieces and nephews is dumplings now. Everyone loves them.
Okay, nice.
Dumpling, right? So if you stuff the dumpling with nice stuffing vegetables, excellent. And The other thing is puree spread. So a lot of
Right.
so the other thing that I am fascinated about now, I growing up as a child would hate pumpkin. Never understood what pumpkin was used for and just detested the whole thing. But I'm a big fan of pumpkin puree now, and as a spread, excellent. So these
Is
are
it?
the yeah, lovely. So if you spice it down, if you do it flavorfully, it's excellent. So these are the few tricks that I've learned from my household, which is a great sort of secretive way to put some vegetables in.
Moms are experts at this, Dr. Rahul.
Yeah.
But I'm
And
going to try this pumpkin puree. I've never tried it. I've tried it in muffins and in pasta, but never in as a spread. Okay, how about 3 exercises you can do with your child for moms?
What lately, and especially in the corona time, what I have found out of for these exercises was a YouTube. YouTube
Right.
has plenty of trainers.
Yes.
They train you and your children along with them. So it's an audio visual training program, and that every child loves. And
Yes.
the guys there what demonstrating themselves, and they have beautiful physique, the body, and that also motivates a lot of children.
It's very good interactive sort of thing. You get your whole family involved as well.
Yes.
That is a big essential as well, I feel. It's just not to have such kind of exercises or sort of games just not with one pertaining child. It should be done with the whole family, because that basically motivates everyone. Like I said, we have to eradicate that obesogenic environment, right? No child is fat alone. That's our biggest line in the book, right? So if you get the whole family involved, I think you're covering everything.
That's wonderful, doctor. How about some 3 sugar-free desserts that you can recommend?
I would put it to him.
Our children better not see this video with you saying that.
See, like I said, sugar-free desserts are nice, but you have to understand that just because they're sugar-free, they're not. You should not lean on it. There should not be dependency on it, right? You should have your sugar diet. You should have your chocolates. You should have your sugar-free as well, but in moderation. In moderation. So, because what happens invariably, if you tell a child, okay, no, you can't have this because it has sugar, then they sort of start abusing the sugar-free side. You know how commonly what we do is we eat a lot of dark chocolate as opposed to milk chocolate, because dark chocolate has less calories. Then you sort of just build up a routine, then you just end up eating dark chocolate. Yes, you're choosing a healthier option, but I would say moderation of both would be an ideal way to go about it. Because you need sugar. As a child, you need sugar, but in moderation. The abuse is the sort of the concern.
If you be very, very strict with them at home, maybe they might just go outside. So,
I was just going to say that they're going to go out and eat 3 ice creams instead of 1.
That's what we commonly see, right? Because you have, like I said, the 3 most important environments. It's your school, home, and your community, where your child basically socializes, right? So if you sort of block out 2 of them, the child invariably seeks it out in the third or in the other 2. So you have to make sure that it is all sort of covered. But you can't control all 3 environments, right? So the idea is to make the child smarter, and that sort of it begins from your house and begins with everyone in the family as well.
And along with those empty calories, we need to inform our children about the preservatives which are there in the most of the OTC products. So we should warn our children what are the ill side effects of the preservatives. So sensitizing children, that is the most important thing here.
Okay, my last one is 3 easy swap outs that moms can do starting like today.
3 easy cop outs, is it?
Swap outs, instead of maida, you use atta.
So I would just know one. I would say nachni is a great substitute.
Yes.
Since last possibly 6 odd years, we've only been eating nachni, and I think it's a great nutritive value and essential as a staple diet as well. I would say in our Indian community, we have a very good diet as a staple diet. We Indians, our staple is essential, but I would say the carbohydrates slightly is on the higher side. We have two sources of carbohydrates. We have your rice and we have your rotis, your chapatis. We need them, but we don't need them excessively. So if you sort of substitute one of them, now you can substitute rice with quinoa, you can substitute rice with salad, but you still need a carb source. So either you have your rice and you have your nashni, roti, or bati, whichever you prefer. So
here I would add a few more things. Like the small millets are the better ones, but they don't taste that well as longer millets like rice and the wheat. So all the small millet. But here the trick for all the moms is what children like is the color of the food and the aroma. These two things, if a smart mom can do wonders with whatever which is not so much tasty. The aroma of the food, like even say Maggie, why children opt for Maggie. So that aroma and the color.
Make it more presentable, touch, basically focus on other senses than the taste. So that's one of the other tricks that we are sort of recommending.
Wonderful advice. Thank you so much, Dr. Sanjay and Dr. Rahul. Over to you, Siddhi.
Hello, Dr. Sanjay, Dr. Rahul. My first question to you is, in India, love is synonymous with food, and we love loading our kids' food with ghee and butter and parathas. So, as a parent, how do we know that, how much is too much? Where should we draw a line?
That's a very good question. Now, we have nuclear families. The parents are working and just the children are left to their fate for every day, so for food selection and everything. So nuclear families, the working parents will not have that major impact on their daily intake of calories. So having a joint family with some grandparents inside the house, so that makes a lot of difference in this. Then, as the world is advancing, in the day-to-day lifestyle, all our children are taken for celebrations. I would say not with healthy food joints, but they would go to some burger or the pizzas corners. So I think that one the parents have to understand that how we should celebrate there. So another important thing is bribing our own children to get to excel in their studies or in their sports activity and all. So again, whenever you are trying to gift your child, I think inculcate those good ideas about the calories and how they burn the calories and what are the good and the bad effects of calories in the end.
What you notice is that invariably, and specifically in obese children, there's a lot of emotional dependency with food. They sort of lean onto food for some form of emotional comfort. We all do, right? But as adults, we are wise enough to understand what we are eating.
It's more like coding.
Yeah. So as children, so it's basically as treats, right? Whenever we have an occasion and we have a reason to celebrate, we always celebrate it with, basically as a child would want to eat something as fast food, right? And something high calorie. So we have to understand that let not cultivate a emotional dependency relationship with the food. So the child does not always go and lean onto that food every single time they need some emotional comforting. So that's the idea. So the abuse is the concern there. So make sure that when your child is sort of just offered, or he or she leans on to these kind of fast food, is to have the right approach to it. Like, this is a celebratory, and this is not something that you sort of do it on an everyday basis. With a child, like I said, would want to eat this on a daily basis, but you have to sort of cultivate the right outlook towards it.
Second question, there is a lot of food, that is being sold in the market in the name of nutritious food, which is actually not the case. So how do we differentiate between really healthy food and unhealthy food?
I would not strongly recommend, but as a family, we should be aware about what is good, what is bad. How psychological counseling should be undertaken by the parents. Even at school levels, we doctors, we conduct some few programs for the teacher associations. And even we have started conducting awareness programs in the community level. In fact, we have written it to the policy makers also to put those calorie contents in the small fast food restaurant, whatever fast food which is collected by any family or anybody. So they should be aware about those calorie content of this.
So basically, one should just know the basics. We will not recommend everyone to go a nutritionist to begin. If you know your basics, if you know the nutritive value of your food, what you're eating and what you're putting into your body, I think you're good enough. You don't need any nutritionist on board. Unless you have a particular reason. If the child suffers from a particular disease which sort of just inhibits or sort of you have to curate the diet according to that. Or like I said, the wants and need. If she is an athlete and she requires a particular high protein diet, then you get a nutritionist on board. But I think bottom line is, if you just understand what you're putting, just know the basics of what food you're eating, be calorie conscious, I think you don't need a nutritionist. That's it.
But also there's a lot of packaged food that's selling in the market in the name of being, really nutritious, which it is not the case. So, as a parent, how do we differentiate? Okay, this is healthy, this is not healthy. Is there anything particular in the contents that we need to look out for when we are buying some packaged food or a processed food?
The rule of thumb is, broadly I would say, is that if it comes in packaging, it is not natural. The content could be natural, but like I said, to a certain extent, there are some preservatives which are added on or brought along with that. Natural sources of food is something that I would recommend to everyone, and that should always be your ultimate goal. We are very much aware of the current situation that there are natural food sources available in certain packaging as well, but you have to just understand that there are no added preservatives or abuse to it, right? So your rule of thumb should always be natural sources, but whichever the food that comes in packaging, make sure there are no added preservatives to it.
Right,
I would say the smart parenting should be, wise parenting. They should seek that knowledge about what is a diet, or how healthy, what is healthy body. Everything, the perfect body, that every parent, once they are into their family ways, they should learn about it.
Okay, the next question is, can you suggest some simple measures to avoid junk food in my child's diet?
Yeah, the trick is always home preparation, right? We all know Ghalka Khana is the best khana.
Yes.
So home preparation of any and every food is always recommended. With that, I would say we also recommend is to involve your child in the kitchen. So whenever you are prepping any of these meals, let's say as something as kid's favorite is pizza. Pizza, right? You have to make the child aware of what they are putting on the pizza and what sort of makes them tastier and what makes them prefer that. So if you get the child involved in the kitchen from right from the beginning, I think you will sort of you don't have to probably face a lot of questions, a lot of hurdles in the teenage life or in the later in their life.
Encourage them,
because that's what will happen, right? A child will never understand how a burger is made, what goes into a burger, even as simple as a samosa. No one knows what samosa
Yes,
is.
exactly. They should also see the hard work that goes into
Yes,
cooking.
that is essential, right? That is very essential. You have to understand what sort of efforts you put into it,
Yes.
behind the kitchen, behind the curtain, as they say. So once you do that, you sort of have a respect for food, and you sort of respect what you're putting into your body as well, right? If everyone faces it, if an individual who regular works out, and when they understand how much calories they've burnt, but if they sort of put that same number onto a food, as simple as like a samosa in total has around 200, 300 kilocalories. Easy to pop, easy to eat, it's so small. But to burn 200, 300 kilocalories, you have to run for an hour. So you sort of start respecting food, and you start respecting your body as well. So you need to start nurture, cultivate that kind of approach to food.
So during the lockdown, a lot of screen time has increased for children, and even pre-pandemic, we noticed that kids only prefer eating when there is screen time, and they want to watch YouTube or they want to watch TV. So मतलब जब भी खाना खाना है साथ में screen time होना जरूरी होता है. तो मतलब do you think that is a contributing factor in obesity? Is that a factor that leads to obesity?
Yes. 100%, because we always put strict guideline that whatever there should be one meal of the family that will go together. Secondly, while on a dining table, you should not have your TV or any monitor running. We have to chat and make a family sort of get together on a dining table. So the family that eats together, that is bound together. This is what we recommend to all our families.
In the urban world that we live in right now, any form of TV screen time is a great distraction. It's a great medium of sort of just procrastinating, or for the matter, it's a great distraction, great entertainment. Once you involve your meal time along with your screen time, you sort of just take away the attention or the importance, the focus on the meals. So invariably, you either do not understand what you're eating, or you overeat, or you undereat, because you are distracted while doing the screen time. So you can't take away that. Like I said, it's sort of goes hand in hand in the lifestyle that we lead. So how do we do that? How do we tackle? Like he mentioned, is that one meal of the day should always be together with the family, and it should be away from the screen, so everyone is aware of what they eat, and it's a great bonding time with the family as well.
Also, it's important to be mindful of what you are eating.
Exactly. So you have to understand what is the nutritive value of a broccoli. Why am I eating this rasgulla? It tastes yummy, but what is this rasgulla made of? So understand. So while if you have a screen in front of you, sort of never question yourself, never understand what you eat. So you have to be mindful of what you eat, as you rightfully said.
And Dr. Sanjay, my last question is more out of curiosity that, as a parent, how do we realize that our child is getting obese or is on the verge of getting obese? So what are the alarming signals or symptoms of obesity?
See, in a family, those we come across every day, we would hardly able to notice. But when you start some comments coming from the child's friend or your family members who have visited your family after a good period of time, that is one sign that you start understanding that our child is started becoming obese. Secondly, obviously, when you start seeing the sluggish, slower movements of your own child, more resting in the bed, hardly mixing up with their peers, hardly participating in outdoor sports. These are all signs of your child's ill health going towards obesity, or because of obesity, experiencing ill health.
You will see there's a behavioral change of sorts. You will naturally, as a mother, as a father, you will see the volume of the food has increased, and the outlook as well. So a child who would sort of could not be aware of ice creams now is wanting and needing ice cream after every meal, like a dessert. So the outlook also changes. Secondly, is that it's like he mentioned, is for a parent, you see that child, you are very much aware, but you see when you get a third person perspective, right? An individual, you sort of meet them fortnightly or once in a month. They sort of see the growth spurt. They sort of see the individual completely and on. So those few signs that you have to sort of pick on, apart from the traditional signs that, like he said, a physical sort of tardiness. There's some sort of, like snoring is a great symptom. If your child starts snoring, that means the child is overweight. So those are small things as well. In a sense, if snoring loudly, as if the child not snoring before, there are small things that you have to sort of just, I wouldn't say not red flag, but sort of just keep looking out for.
All right. Thank you so much. That was really helpful. And over to you, Sukirti.
My goodness, such a packed session. Like, it's like you have to like watch every word. I think 5 things I really loved. I like the what you said, the fine balance. You know, we have this idealism, but we have to also be realistic. And the fact that no size fits all. You know, usually we like to see that somebody's doing X and Y, but we need to see what actually is right for our child. And I love the tips. The pumpkin puree, I think, like Upasana said, I'm going to try it too. So this one is really going on, and especially the millets, because I think that's becoming very, very big. And it's a good reminder to us that maybe we introduce our kids to it. And I love this fact because this is something I did not think about, because, you know, we teach our kids about so many things, but we don't tell them about what is a calorie and how to burn calories and the good and the bad. And I think that's really, really smart, because as we're teaching them other things, this is very good, and involving them in the cooking and what is behind the scenes, and look how much fat is in this, how much whatever. And if you eat this, you're going to have to run 30 minutes. I think they're going to get it also very, very quickly. So thank you. I think it was amazing. For parents, we need to definitely seek knowledge. This book is fantastic. Please do grab a copy of Generation XL. I mean, I think we loved it. It was an eye-opener. And thank you, Dr. Sanjay and Dr. Rahul, for bringing this book out. Very, very needed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting us. Thank you for having us here.